We have our first Dr. Light episode of Season 2. We follow Ruby Sunday this time, not side characters or a solo companion. What is revealed about Ruby and the fate of the Earth in 2025? Before I get to the meat and potatoes, I would love it if you could leave a comment about how you felt about the episode if you've seen it. And if you haven't, do you plan to? Why or why not? Anyway, Ruby had a solo episode in Season 1, 73 yards, so it is interesting that she gets a solo episode this season, considering she is not the companion at the moment. It shows that Russell T Davies' current run might be all interconnected with a run-long arc instead of his famous season-long arcs. But we don't start off with Ruby. We start at New Year, 2007, and the Doctor and Belinda dropping in on Earth with the Vindicator device to get another reading and establish another tether to 2025. The Doctor remarks, upon learning the date, "New Year's! All those hopes and possibilities!" That word, hope, is referenced again this season. It was prominent in Lux and The Well. A young boy named Conrad has seen the TARDIS appear, meets the Doctor and Belinda Chandra, and is amazed by what he sees, an amazement that he carries with him for years into his adulthood when we see him again interviewing Ruby Sunday on his podcast about the Blue Box and the Doctor. The title of this episode? Lucky Day. What could that mean? Lucky for who? Lucky in what way? A slight flashback takes place here as Conrad, 17 years after first meeting the Doctor, spies the Blue Box again and finds himself wandering in a deserted shopping mall. A creature, later named a Shreek, is running around in the shadows, too fast to be properly seen. It leaves a green slime on Conrad. The Doctor and Ruby appear, Conrad listening in, unseen. The Shreek has been taken care of. The green slime is a pheromone that gets into the blood and marks the target as future prey to be hunted, and Ruby has gotten some green slime on her. Shrieks can interfere with electrical systems like lights, feed off fear, and love the taste of adrenaline. They will scare you before feeding. No worries. The Doctor has a vial of an orange antidote that tastes awful and knocks you out for 8 hours, but removes the tracking pheromone from your blood. Nice foreshadowing here. The Doctor and Ruby are jovial. They're having fun. This was 30 minutes after the end of episode 2 in season 1, I suppose, The Devil's Chord, because Ruby comments that they had just been hanging out with the Beatles half an hour prior, and John Lennon owes her a piano lesson. Back to the podcast. They talk about UNIT, and it seems that the world knows all about UNIT and aliens, and people generally accept the existence of such things. Ruby mentions, "The Doctor is my best friend, and the Doctor keeps us safe." This meeting between Ruby and Conrad is very much an awkward meet-cute, but Ruby is also there to deliver the orange antidote. It has been about a year since Conrad spotted them in the shopping mall. Ruby knows that he was slimed by the Shreek for some reason, and she instructs him to take the vial and clear the pheromones from his body. Shreeks live in a pocket dimension and come out once a year to hunt. Somehow, one made its way to Earth. UNIT has caught the returning Shreek, but better safe than sorry, right? What do we learn about Conrad? His name is Conrad Clark, without an E. His mother died of liver cancer. He has been obsessing about the Doctor for most of his life. The mom reference is interesting. This season, we learned that Joy was estranged from her mother in the Christmas special. Belinda has mentioned missing her mom, and dad, to be fair, in most episodes. In Lux, a mother was waiting and hoping for the return of her son. In The Well, we hear over and over that Alice is a mother and just wants to get back to her daughter. And, of course, Ruby herself has 2 moms. Now, Conrad seems to have been deeply impacted by his mother during his life, just pointing out what might be a running theme. Conrad asks if the Doctor was Ruby's boyfriend, which she laughs off with a comment that the Doctor would probably be flirting with Conrad if he were there. This is the first direct acknowledgement of this Doctor's fluidity since season 1's Rogue. Our budding young couple shares a kiss. Cut to a few dates later, and Ruby is preparing for a weekend away with Conrad. Her gran warns her about going to a village, and there is mention of having seen and been frightened by a movie, The Wicker Man. As we know, the finale two-parter will be Wish World and the Reality War, and Tennant's 14th Doctor seemed to introduce superstition and magic to the not things in Wild Blue Yonder. So was this reference to a classic movie just a throwaway joke, or something deeper? The relationship now official? The couple arrives at the village and Ruby meets a lot of Conrad's friends. Throughout this trip, lights flicker, seeming to pay off the foreshadowing about the returning Shreek, although Unit should have it in containment. A call to Kate, head of Unit, sets up potential help if needed, and we learn that Mel, a former companion, is in Sydney. There is something strange in the harbor. Lots of little bits and pieces that might pay off in the long run. When Kate checks on the Shreek, the code for the door is 9102. If anyone knows the significance of that number, if it refers to something else, just as 73 yards, or 66.7 meters, referred to the range of the perception filter of the TARDIS, as well as being the title of Ruby's previous solo episode, let me know in a comment. We learned through conversation that Ruby has PTSD from all of her experiences with the Doctor, fighting actual gods, seeing the world turn to dust. Her life with him has always been fight or flight, and she can't get her mind straight. The excitement from the beginning of the episode has waned, and she talks about the Doctor in a much less romanticized way. Then we discover that Conrad did not take the antidote. He still has the pheromones in his blood. The Shreek is after him. He defends his decision, saying he wanted to be like his lifelong hero, the Doctor. Everything he was, I can be. I'm not afraid. You should be, Ruby replies. Unit arrives to save the day, but it was all for nothing. It is all a hoax. Conrad is the leader of a group called Think Tank. The villagers around him are in on it. The Shrieks, 2 of them, are people in costumes. Conrad's objective? Expose Unit. Expose the tricks and lies and waste of taxpayer money, and live stream it all. He had applied to Unit before, and Kate rejected him after the interview, leaving a 3-word note: don't trust him. His mom is not dead. He is rich and has set her up in a nice home. He wants power, attention, to be important and seen. And he never loved Ruby at all. She is broken by this revelation, and things start to fall apart for Unit. There are protests, news reports about fascism in the streets, the doxing of Unit members. If Unit is dissolved, how will Earth be protected? Kate says, imagine what happens when a dictator gets access to a time window or transduction drive. Our technology would tear the world apart. Is this what happens later in 2025? To prevent Belinda from going home? To make it so no one in the future knows about Earth or humanity, as we learned in the last episode, The Well? When things look most bleak, a mole helps Conrad gain access to Unit's tower. He makes his way to the control room where Kate turns the tables on him. She releases the Shreek, and as it begins to hunt Conrad, who still has the pheromones, he finally admits that all the things he said were lies, admits that the monsters are real, and begs for his life. Ruby saves him with a taser. All of it is live-streamed by Conrad and fed to his social media by Unit. I stand with Unit now trends, but a lot of damage has been done. The episode ends with 3 important scenes. Number 1, Ruby says, I've just been stuck in limbo, waiting for the Doctor, for the end of the world, and I just don't know how to get any better. It's like everything I've seen, the good and the bad. I just need some time to get my head around it, away from everyone, somewhere new, on my own. This is powerful. The PTSD, the aftermath of being a companion. Certain aspects of this have been explored before, with companions lamenting that they were forgotten, the Doctor moved on to someone new, and had more adventures without them, but this trauma is something we haven't seen explored much before, so I'm happy to see this acknowledged. Number 2, the Doctor takes Conrad from his cell for a little chat. You have to be invited into my TARDIS, Conrad, to be special. But you? You're special for all the wrong reasons. You see, I'm fighting a battle on behalf of everyday people who just want to get through their day and feel safe and warm and fed. And then along comes this noise all day long, this relentless noise. Cowards like you, weaponizing lies, taking people's insecurity and fear and making it currency. You are exhausting. You stamp on the truth, choke our bandwidth, and shred our patience. Because the only strategy you have is to wear us down. But the thing is, Conrad, I have energy to burn and all the time in the universe.
What is this, an intervention? Are you here to save my soul?
You betrayed my friend.
You've had plenty of friends. Have you met Belinda Chandra yet?
Who? You want spoilers? I'll tell you your future. You die in a prison cell, boiling in anger and poison until your heart packs in at age 49, alone and unloved, forgotten. The world carries on. The world gets better. You aren't even a footnote, just ashes on the wind.
I don't accept your reality, Doctor. I reject it. So put me back in my prison and get off my world.
Equally powerful. The Doctor is angry, but he does nothing to directly punish Conrad. We've seen the Doctor punished before, like with the family at the end of The Family of Blood. Horrific punishment. Father of Mine was wrapped in unbreakable chains, forged from dwarf star alloy, and left in an underground chamber. Mother of Mine was thrown into the event horizon of a collapsing galaxy, imprisoning her there for eternity. Daughter of Mine was trapped in every mirror in existence, where the Doctor would visit her once a year. Son of Mine was frozen in time, dressed as a scarecrow, and left to watch over the fields of England as their protector. The most interesting part is when Conrad won't accept the Doctor's reality. Remember, the final episode is entitled The Reality War. I think we will see Conrad again. Number 3. Mrs. Flood appears and releases Conrad. It is his lucky day. She calls herself the Governor. Is this a Time Lord kind of name like the Doctor and the Master? Or is it just referring to the role she's playing at that prison? I guess we'll find out. Anyway, there were no stars in this episode, breaking a run of stars featuring prominently so far this season. There were no mentions of the number 15 either. Now, the only constant throughout the season seems to be mothers. We have more pieces to play with now, and some movement towards the final episode is really happening. There is some momentum building here. I'm sure Conrad will be back, and probably Ruby. Will we see Rogue? Or is that character just a loose thread that may never get picked up? Definitely a solid, fast-paced episode with some real development on the darker side for Ruby Sunday. This also had the most overt social commentary about the dangers of relying on social media and influencers as sources of news. Talk of noise, relentless noise, weaponizing lies, taking insecurity and fear and making it currency, stamping on the truth, choking the bandwidth, shredding patience, wearing everyone down, because that is the only strategy such people have at their disposal. No real solutions, no real goal of improving people's lives, just personal gain and raising one's clout. Apt. Very apt. Anyway, it was a great episode. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content about entertainment of all kinds, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any comments about this episode, Doctor Who in general, or your feelings about the future of this franchise, please leave it in the comments section. I'd love to read it. If you felt entertained or informed by this video in any way, please leave a like to let me know. Thanks for watching. See you next time.